We're just taking a moment to discuss pet food in general, specifically for birds. So birds, as we all know, are somewhat like ferrets in that they're perpetual toddlers. They're very mischievous and they can be very opinionated and strong-willed. And so something that I frequently encounter in my practice really all the time is a pet owner who tells me they tried to feed vegetables but the bird didn't like it, and that was 20 years ago. And it's a really important thing to realize that baby birds learn what is edible and what is food from their parents or from someone that's hand raising them. And if they weren't exposed to these things, when we offer new foods, they really just don't see them as edible. And so it's not that they necessarily don't like them, it's often they don't know they should be eating them. So very important if you have a bird and you're trying to get them to eat better or improve nutrition, that you don't give up. This is a work of months to years, not of days. Patience is required for all things animal, and particularly with birds. So what should a bird be eating? Well, it varies depending on the type of bird. They're all a little bit different. And so very importantly, you need to do the research on your particular species, know their native diet and their native needs, and then follow all the recommended guidance and research on the individual species that you have. There are some birds that require more vitamin A in their diet. Eclectus parrots are one of those. There are some that require a little bit more calcium, like African greys. There are birds that have iron problems and have to have low iron diets, like some of the toucans. So you really just need to know your species. But in a broad scope, we can talk about the citizens, or the parrots and parakeets. And in general, I try to provide them with a pellet formulated diet and a variety of vegetables. The pellets are really a way of providing balanced nutrition, and I really like Harrison's bird food. I also like Rowdy Bush with Weber. Those are all good choices. And Harrison's does have one product that I frequently recommend that bird owners try, and that's called Harrison's Birdie Bread. And it's a great kind of cheat sheet or workaround if you have a bird that's being really stubborn about trying something, because most birds do like bread. So birdie bread is basically the pellet mixture in a meal formula, a powdered formula, and you bake that and cook it like you would a cornbread mix, which is our old version of birdie bread. And when you're mixing this batter up, you can put all the healthy things into it. So put a host of chopped up greens and vegetables, maybe a tiny bit of seeds or nuts just to get them into the bread and start working on the bread. And then you bake it and keep it in the fridge and give them little tiny squares. And this is a great kind of slow start to get them to at least try new things. So we do that very frequently. Some of the other things that I've used, again, think of them as toddlers, they can be stubborn. So if we want them to eat greens and they're not eating greens, we might flavor it a little bit. And so I might put a tiny bit of butter or a tiny bit of cheese and kind of mix it all up and offer the greens. And then we back off and remove the extras once they're regularly eating the greens. This is not long-term, it's a cheat sheet. The other thing is communal eating. Birds are very social, and so very frequently I'll have an owner sit with a plate of greens and salad in front of the bird, give the bird their own plate. They should not eat from us. So we have E. coli in their gut, birds have staph, we can give them E. coli, so they shouldn't eat off our plate, our mouth, our spoons, forks. But we eat in front of them or with them, and it's a social activity. And many times if you're just very slowly eating, you'll find that the bird will also go over and kind of pick through things and eat with you. So that's always a great idea. And really just it's a matter of continuing to try new things, don't give up, be persistent. But this nutrition is very important. The all seed diets are very depleted in nutrients and very high in fat. And so very frequently we'll see fatty liver disease, which can lead to liver failure in birds and can be a problem with bleeding and hemorrhage in birds that are eating only seed-based diets. In some of the bigger birds, we'll often see atherosclerosis or heart disease, clotting of the arteries of the heart, just like you can get with people on a very high fat diet. So we think of some of our bigger birds, and particularly the senior birds, more as a person that should be on a low fat diet for heart health. And so if you use those as guidelines, it's a great way of knowing what you may or may not give to them very safely. And last point, don't give up. I know I've said it before, but this is a biggie. Keep trying. These birds live for many years. I have cockatiels in practice that are 32 years old, and the bigger birds can live much, much longer than that. So this isn't something you give up on after a few days. You keep trying, and you know that as you try, they'll gradually extend their little wings and try a little bit more. One other thing that I do with birds a lot is chop, which is basically cooked grains and chopped diced vegetables, and offer that as well. So lots of ideas, just keep going.